All right, let's jump right in. If you've ever touched Kubernetes, you know it's incredibly powerful. But you also know that power comes with, well, a tidal wave of configuration files. So today, we're going to tackle that complexity head-on. We'll look at the journey from managing just one app with Helm to orchestrating, your entire world with its supercharged successor, Helm file.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the core problem, that YAML sprawl that drives everyone crazy. Then we'll see how Helm came to the rescue. After that, we'll get into the new challenges that pop up when you try to scale. From there, we'll meet Helm file, dig into the whole push versus pull debate, and finally, lay out a really clear strategy to help you pick the right tool for the job.
So, you did it. You containerized your application. That's fantastic. But the moment you try to move to a real, production-like environment on Kubernetes, you hit a wall. All of a sudden, you're just drowning in YAML files. Deployments, services, ingresses, config maps, the list just goes on and on. And this slide just illustrates the pain perfectly. On the left, you've got the manual way. It's this long, super error-prone list of kubectl apply commands for every single resource. But on the right, one clean, simple command. This difference right here is exactly why the community knew there had to be a better way.
And that better way, that first huge step forward, was Helm. It brought a concept that we all know from software development, package management, and dropped it right into the world of Kubernetes. It was our first real weapon for taming that YAML beast.
So what is Helm, really? Well, think of it like apt for Debian or Homebrew for Mac OS, but for Kubernetes. It takes all those messy YAML files and bundles them into one neat package called a Helm chart. This one chart can define, install, and even upgrade the most complex Kubernetes app you can think of. And the benefits are immediate. You get one-command deployments, check. You get reusable charts for staging and production, check. And you get awesome version control, which means if something goes wrong, you can roll back to a stable version in a snap. It's just a massive leap forward.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? Here's the plot twist. As your team grows, as your number of microservices just explodes, Helm's beautiful simplicity starts to show some cracks. See, managing one app is great, but managing dozens of them across a bunch of different environments? That's a whole new kind of headache.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It captures the issue perfectly. Helm is fantastic at packaging a single application. It was never built to be the grand orchestrator for your entire suite of services running across your entire infrastructure.
Let's make this super real for a second. Imagine you've got, say, 20 microservices. Now multiply that by 3 environments, dev, staging, and prod. You are suddenly trying to manage 60 different deployment configurations. Each one has its own specific values, its own secrets, its own versions. And pretty soon, all those Helm install commands start to feel a lot like the kubectl apply commands we were trying to get away from in the first place.
And this is where Helm file enters the scene. Now, it's not a replacement for Helm. It's a really powerful layer that sits on top of it. You can think of it as Helm, but on steroids, supercharged for scale and complexity. You see, Helm file brings a declarative mindset to the whole process. Instead of running a bunch of commands to deploy things, you define the desired state of your entire environment in one single helmfile.yaml file. That analogy, Terraform for Helm, it's perfect. You describe what you want, and Helm file figures out how to make it happen. And the workflow is it's beautiful. It's so simple. First, you define your state. Then, and this is the killer feature, you run Helm file diff. It gives you a preview, just like Terraform Plan, showing you exactly what's going to be added, changed, or deleted. Once you like what you see, you run Helm file apply, and it makes it so. No more guesswork, no more surprises. Now, using the tool like Helm file naturally leads us to a much bigger architectural question in the DevOps world. And that's the great debate between push-based and pull-based deployments. Basically, how do we want our changes to actually get to the cluster?
So here's the crucial difference. Helm file usually works in a push model. Your CI/CD pipeline runs Helm file apply, and it pushes the changes to your cluster. In contrast, GitOps tools like Argo CD and Flux use a pull model. There's an agent living inside your cluster that's constantly watching a Git repo, and it pulls in any changes it sees. It's a totally different philosophy.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We went from kubectl to Helm file to GitOps. So let's bring it all together and figure out which of these tools is actually the right fit for you and your team.
Let's start with the most common scenario, right? You're new to Kubernetes. Maybe you're just managing one simple application. What do you do?
Honestly, the answer is clear. Just use Helm. It gives you massive benefits over messing with raw YAML files, but it doesn't add another layer of complexity you have to learn. Master the basics here first.
All right, but what if you're past that stage? Your team is growing, you're juggling a bunch of microservices, and you've got separate dev, staging, and production environments. Now what?
This is the absolute sweet spot for Helmfile. It was designed for this exact problem. It will tame that complexity, it'll give you that declarative control, and it'll let you see exactly what's changing before you apply it. It's time to level up.
And finally, we have the production-grade, big league scenario. You need the highest level of automation and reliability. You need to know that your cluster always matches what's in your Git repository and that it can automatically fix any manual changes or drift that happens over time. In this case, you're going to want to embrace the GitOps model with tools like Argo CD or Flux. This pull-based approach makes Git the one undisputed source of truth, and it's really the modern standard for managing production Kubernetes at scale.
And that brings us to our final thought. As you look at your own pipelines and your own workflows, ask yourself this one question. Are you just running a list of commands and hoping for the best? Or are you declaring your intent, describing the state you want to see, and letting your tools make it a reality? The answer to that question really tells you where you are and what the next step is on your Kubernetes journey.